I may not be able to find my niche, or even myself right now for that matter. If you know, you know. But I am a Gen Xer. That is in fact a fact. 1976, April 3rd. And I was born in Massachusetts. Born and raised and still here, except for a couple years in my 20s in Daytona Beach, Florida. Yeah, that was a fun time. But Massachusetts is in my blood, so here I stay. Now, I may not have a niche, right? But boy, I remember a very much simpler time in life. Yes, where there were no cell phones, just no technology. I mean, we were born to no technology. And as we grew up, the technology just started getting more and more. You know, we started off with waking up. This is our childhood. Waking up on Saturday mornings. The cartoons would start after the Star Spangled Banner, I think. And then the cartoons would start. And I remember, and I can't remember for the life of me because I have ADHD, so like sitting through cartoons was hard, but I liked them. And there was a show where they'd go, it was like brother and sister, I think, Shazam! And they'd put their rings together and like magic would happen. That was my favorite. And then I remember the Smurfs at some point would come on, and the Smurfs just felt like I liked them, but it felt like they were on forever. Like of all the cartoons, it felt like they were on for hours. So I didn't make it through the Smurfs every week. But then they weren't done for the day, because that's when us kids needed to get out of the house, right? We needed to go outside, and we wanted to be outside. And that's where I would play with my neighborhood friends. We would ride our bikes. We'd ride down to this is old now, but we'd ride down to the elementary school, and there'd be like raspberries, where that's what we basically have for lunch, where the raspberries on the bushes. I mean, now I'd be like, are they poison? But we weren't thinking about that, nor did our parents care. And then we were off for the day. I mean, and I'm talking like at 6 years old, we were just off for the day on our own, doing adventures. I was always on an adventure, and I was always the ringleader. We would build forts. I was kind of a tomboy, but I still liked my girly things. Like, do you remember the necklaces with the charms? But not like pretty little silver charms, like big charms. And like there was one I remember was a lipstick, and the chain was like plastic, and then the charms were like big plastic bulky things, and you collect them. And you collect them with the Garbage Pail Kids and the sticker album, and then the scratch and sniff stickers, which I actually found some. I have some. The popcorn, you know. And then during the week we'd go to school, and I didn't have a bus. In kindergarten, I was walking blocks to school on my own. Like, my mother didn't come with me. Probably should have, but she didn't. And yeah, I found we were very much independent. We had no choice. And you know what's funny is, like, a lot of the moms back then, I'm sure a lot of worked. My mother worked. But whether the parents worked or not, we were independent. We were kind of, oh my gosh. So I was a little bit of a rebel. After I hit 9, my father was forced to move out. I had some bad things happen to me, so I went from Pollyanna to acting out, rightfully so. I would write myself a note for the store to buy, I don't want to say it on here because I always get, like, in trouble. But, you know, and it's not even bad. It's illegal. But to buy, you know, the good old Marlboros. Let's put it that way. Hey, that was clever. The good old Marlboros. I write a note to buy them. And it worked. We had a section for doing the good old Marlboros in school. And if you weren't old enough to go in that section, you just went in the bathroom. And the teachers, you'd hear the heels coming in. And everyone would run and just toss them in toilet, but there'd be just this cloud of smoke, but there was so many of us. Not all of us could get into trouble. Maybe nowadays, but we didn't back then. She'd just say, put it out. She was probably going in there to do it herself. Honestly. When I'm on a roll, I always get a call. So I hope this is recording now. So then, now we're going to get, I heard somebody talking about this the other day and I was like, holy moly. The Challenger. When that metal cart wheeled in the classroom, and it wasn't a recording, there was no such thing. It was live. And I lived in New England, I lived in Massachusetts, and all my teachers were friends with Kristen McAuliffe, who was the teacher going to out in space. So we all sat there live watching the Challenger explode in midair. And so we essentially just sat there and watched all the astronauts lose their lives live. And my teachers were hysterically crying. It was so traumatic. And we didn't get any kind of like counseling, or there was no like trigger warning because we watched it live. And then because it was like the teachers were all friends with them, they couldn't like, they didn't want to go on with the day. So we got sent home. But we got sent home without them informing our parents. I remember strolling in the door. My mother was at home and she was like, why are you here? And I'm like, oh, the astronauts, like they aren't with us anymore. She's like, what are you even talking about? Because she didn't even know that was happening or something. And yeah, I walked home. Like, they didn't inform anyone. They just sent us home. We found our way home. Can you imagine? I mean, I'm a parent and I wouldn't want it to be that lax. Now, no way. How dangerous. Well, and it's also a different time, right? It's a different time. There wasn't as many crazies, or maybe there was, but they weren't as bold. And plus, there wasn't technology. I don't know. I just can't even imagine. Just, okay, kids, go home. See ya. But in fact, that is exactly what happened. I lived in a very small town, so maybe that's why. But anyway, so yeah, there was that. There was that, and then, you know, we had the ice cream man, which I still go to if you saw my content from the other day. And the sprinklers, and just my favorite days, even to this day, are days where you're just, like when my kids were young, it's like you're not going anywhere, there's no plans, time doesn't matter. You're eating millions of popsicles, you're filling up little pools, running on the sprinkler, riding around on bikes, scooters, whatever, and just being. Just being. You're not worried about the house, you're not worried about time, going anywhere. You're just being. And I've found thank God a while back that I don't want to be on the sidelines. I want to be having the fun. I want to be writing with the chalk and blowing the bubbles and running through the sprinkler myself with the kids. So I'm glad I figured that out because it really was life-changing. So can you relate? If you're Gen X, you can relate to this entire video. If you're not Gen X and you actually listened, you guys missed out. And I know you laugh at us about our technology, but I will tell you what, if I could choose that way of life or this, I would pick that way of life all day, every day. It was simpler. It was just, I don't know, it was just simpler and fun and more peaceful and calm, and everything was an adventure. I don't know. I would just pick that every day. I want to know in the comments what you guys think. Would you pick technology or would you pick the simpler way back in, born in the 70s, raised in the 80s type thing? Let me know in the comments and I will see you in the next one.